From all corners of the globe to your ears, it's the Midnight Movie Cowboys. Sometimes informative, sometimes controversial, but always unpredictable. It's the Midnight Movie Cowboys podcast with your hosts, Hunter, John, and Stu. And now, on with the show.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Midnight Movie Cowboys. The gang's all here. I am Hunter in Dallas. Joining me in the wild outback of Australia is Mr. Stuart Balk. Say hello, Stu.
Just jumped off the train from the Yabba.
Yeah, but you took the words right out of my mouth.
Yep.
Hey, and we got John in the Rocky Mountain High of Colorado. Say hello, John.
Hello.
He's rocking that goatee. I want you to kind of shave it into a John Wilkes Booth for me. Can you do that?
I'm thinking of doing it, but my wife gets frightened when I have the mustache.
Oh yeah, when my
creepy
daughter got here. Yeah, when my daughter got here, my wife was like, "Get rid of the mustache, please."
Yeah,
it's unacceptable unless you're Charles Bronson or Burt Reynolds or Tom Selleck. You can't look good with it. There's only three guys on earth who could look good with it.
And they don't look good without it either.
Yeah, that's
what
true.
What about Sam Elliott?
Oh yeah,
yeah, him too. They can somehow they rock it. I don't know, genetics, symmetry. I have no idea.
Symmetry.
Well, this is our first show together in a while. Let's. It's been a while since we've done this segment. Let's whip out our junk, shall we?
Mm-hmm. All right.
You want to go first, Stu?
All right. I've got a little bit, so I'm going to do mine in increments over the next few episodes. Because if I was to do it all, I'd be here for 2 hours, and we can't have that. So I'm going to do my segment called "Whip Out Your Box" this week, which is all box sets and stuff I bought. So not about telling women to whip out their box. No, not like that. But anyway, so first up, I picked this up in a bundle for $20, which included a massive book, which is now out of print, a DVD, and I better change my background because that's not going to work. I'm sorry. Choose virtual background, and there'll be none. And I'm sorry about that. And
that's right. It screws up whenever you do that.
It does. Yeah. So. And the first one is AC/DC's "Plug Me In" box.
Yeah. I thought they were called AC/DC because they's gay.
Because they like to plug it in there.
Oh,
dude! I heard it was after Christ's death comes. That's what it stands for.
Oh no, it was after Christ Devil Coming. I've heard that.
Devil Coming?
Yeah,
that's what we said in the Bible Belt too.
If I thought it was knights in Satan's service or kings in Satan's service.
Yeah. Oh, Gwar, which is like many variations on Gwars,
Can only imagine.
Yeah, I know. All right, moving on. Pick this up on the Black Friday sale of Sanity, which is now unfortunately shutting all their stores, but this was only $20. Still haven't opened it yet. Iron Maiden Senjutsu.
Oh
yeah.
Gotta say, I'm not a huge fan of that album.
Okay, I've heard various conflicting reports, most saying it's not very good, but for $20 for this edition, which is the limited one with a book, I don't care.
Yeah, I get it.
You just lift weights to it. You just lift weights. That's all you do.
And there's some good songs on there. It's not it's just, a lot. The problem with Maiden is they do the 8-10 minute songs that just aren't earned,
Right.
Yeah.
Pseudo prog.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really is pseudo prog. It is fake prog rock.
But they just don't do it well.
Yeah, no, they don't.
Long gone are the days of a 40-minute Maiden album. My favorite's been Somewhere in Time for years. I love that one because it's just 8 songs, 45 minutes, 50 minutes, and it's done.
And it's the perfect melding of like atmosphere and, like their nerdy subjects and stuff. That one just fires on all. So that's a really good one.
Yeah. I never liked it when it came out. I thought, this is a bit too different from Power Slave. But as time went on, as I got older, I said, wow, this is really good. So,
me too. If it like when I was younger, I was like, oh, Peace of Mind's the best, or if you want like Complex Maiden, Seventh Son of a Seventh Son, I can't stand that album now.
I love it. I love Seventh Son. Actually, that was
really?
one I thought it was all right, but then I heard it again about maybe a month back because my brother goes, go listen to Seventh Son again. I go, all right. Listen to it a week ago. Man, this is actually really good. The ones I can't listen to now are the first two with Diano.
Oh, really?
Holy shit, they're bad.
You don't want to. You don't want him to rejoin in his wheelchair, laid up, dissing Bruce Dickinson from his wheelchair, while meanwhile Bruce and the band are paying his medical bills.
And Bruce is like, at least I can run around, you fucking idiot. No,
He's like
elephant legs like you.
He's like, I fly planes. What do you do, Paul? Roll around.
I sing old maiden songs like they should be.
Right, singing opera's easy, Bruce.
Yeah. This is the punk rock maiden. Okay, moving on. I picked this up for a tenner. Star Trek on Blu-ray, the animated series.
I have that.
Yep. And pristine condition as well. More Star Trek here. Picked up the Stardate collection from a woman for $30.
Nice.
In good nick. Picked this up for $20 on the Black Friday sale. The Bill and Ted 3-pack.
Wow. I still haven't seen Face the Music.
I watched a bit and it
kind of seemed like I remember Bill and Ted had sons, and then all of a sudden they have daughters, and I was like, oh, it's that kind of movie.
It's the yoga hoses.
Yeah.
Bill and Ted meet the yoga hoses. Finally picked this one up off of a guy on Marketplace for $115. I thought it's got to be the cheap Chinese fake running around. But he sent me pics. I went to his house. He wasn't far from me. I looked at it, and it is the real one because there is a discernible difference on the back. And, Pink Floyd's Discovery box set.
Ooh.
Now you're probably thinking out there, oh, you got gypped, you idiot. No, on the back of here is the EMI label, or it says a product of EMI, something like that. On the Chinese fakes going around, it says MEI. Is it that fucking stupid? So, and also the ones that come in the Chinese fake box, they're not sealed. These are all sealed. This was brand new, still sealed. I said, why are you getting rid of it? He goes, like I've heard repeatedly from people on Marketplace, I need the money. I'm like, all right.
Hey, man. Hey, I've been selling some of my vinyl on Discogs, but I've been getting very handsome returns, like getting way more than what I paid for them.
Really?
Yeah.
What about the White Zombie box? Is that gone yet?
No, I haven't sold that. But I sold Heaven and Hell's Devil You Know for $160.
Yeah, but you didn't pay that much for it, right?
No, I paid like $30.
Oh wow, shit. That's crazy.
Yeah, I sold Devin Townsend's Ziltoid for $150. And like crazy. Y'all are like,
how many properties do you own now? 3.
Oh man, yeah, but I just went through my collection and I was looking at the pricing and I went, ooh, like I took ones that were worth way more than what I paid for them.
Yeah,
that I was willing to part with.
Yeah,
because there's some stuff on there where I'm like, this is gold. I don't want to get rid of it. No. But I was just going, I don't spend these, when am I going to listen to Heaven and Hell's Devil You Know again? I respect, but I'm going to reach for other Dio and Sabbath first.
Yeah.
So
anyway, just to finish up real quick. So there was a Pink Floyd box set, but because it only goes up to the Division Bell, I ended up picking up Delicate Sound of Thunder, Pulse, and The Endless River.
Yeah, Endless River
completes the Floyd collection, but I do need to get. Is there anybody out there? The Wall live one that came out in 2000. I think it was.
John only recognizes Sid Barrett Floyd.
Yes, that's
so the first two, and that's it.
I like Momentary Lapse of Reason. I like a lot about that.
You picked up one of the most obscure ones. Don't worry about Animals. Don't worry about Dark Side of the Moon. Don't worry about The Wall. Don't worry about Metal. It's like, oh,
well, it came out when I was in high school, so it has more significance than.
Okay, it's fair enough. I mean, it's a cool album.
I just got Floyd's Live at Nebworth on vinyl, and that's the 1990 3-piece, minus Roger Waters, and that's a great live show. Like, awesome.
Yeah, that's one of the ones I'm missing as well. But actually, my 11-year-old, how old is he? 10-year-old has it. If you can believe that.
So good.
Is that the one with 7 tracks on it, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And the vinyl I got 45s. It's so good. Sounds
I
great.
got the animals on vinyl. I probably need to look into selling. So
Yeah. You'd be surprised what you get from these days if it's in good nick.
it's weird.
Yeah.
Oh, mine's in great shape. So
Yeah. Anyway, that's me done for this one.
All right, John, you want to go?
sure. I got a package from the Nes the other day.
Oh, nice.
Oh my gosh, Nez! What? I don't ever get packages from the Nez.
So,
small.
he's a fellow reader. He probably reads as much as I do because he goes through books pretty
Yeah,
quick.
he does.
So he sent me Coffee with Hitler. So
Somebody get a capture of John holding up coffee with Hitler. New profile pic.
it'll get me on some watch list, right? And Ben McIntyre's Colditz, which is another history. This, of course, the letters are distorted on Messenger or Zoom cameras. He also sent me an Ian Kershaw history book that I have upstairs that I'm gonna crack. I'm gonna start digging in all this stuff this weekend.
Yeah, I've got his book, The End, which is about World War II in 1945 in Germany.
That's like his specialty, and his books are not cheap. So when Nez sent this to me, I was surprised. I was like, "Whoa!" It's like they don't go for cheap on Amazon like a lot of those books do.
Anthony does. I've had many a times where I've said, "Do you know what this goes for?" He goes, "I don't care. Just take it."
Yeah,
He's also Kershaw is also one of the guys who was kind of involved in the canceling of David Irving.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Take out one
wow.
of those rival World War II historians. You know.
And I'm not going to show all the books on the camera because it's too much time. But I went to the Book Rack in Denver last weekend, and they had a 2-for-1 sci-fi sale. And most science fiction I don't really care much for, but I realized maybe I would enjoy more of the golden age short stories, science fiction from the 30s and 40s and 50s. So I bought like a stack of these Asimov's best science fiction of the year. They each cover like a different year, like 1942, 43. And it's just short fiction, and that way you don't have to worry about some door-stopping Game of Thrones size garbage read that you get tired of after an hour or two.
Like Arthur
I've
C.
got a few
Clarke
short
books.
stories in like an hour, and you're good, or within 30
I've got a
minutes.
few of those Ellison volumes that are like Edgeworks, like huge, and I got rid of some of them because I was going, this thing is gargantuan, and I like 2 little stories in it.
Right. I gotten rid of a lot of my Harlan Ellison, particularly the fiction.
You gave me some of your Harlan Ellison. You gave me.
Yes,
your
I did.
Glass
Yes,
Tea-
I mean they're fun to
Glass
read.
Tea.
Once,
Yeah, they're
they're
as much as I think he lies, watching and edging my voice and stuff, those are
Oh, yeah.
entertaining to read, even though he makes up a lot of stories about seeing the Omen and couples like
they were jerking off.
sexual ecstasy, watching the
Yeah.
Omen, watching the guy's head come off going,
Well, this stuff intrigues me because it's science fiction from a time when they couldn't write about sex or culture or anything. They could only write about what was in the mainstream thought in the 30s and 40s.
so they write about robot sex.
Robot. Yeah, they don't mention sex at all. Even though they're all pervs like Hubbard and Heinlein was a wife swapper, and
Oh yeah.
because I'm reading
Yeah.
this book called Astounding that tells the whole story about the whole John Campbell golden age of science fiction. All these cats are screwed up in the head. Like they're all a bit messy in their personal lives.
But I remember when I'd go to Larry McMurtry's bookstore in Archer City, I would find these sci-fi digests from that time, that had stuff by Asimov in it, and I would buy those and read them back
They're fun
ages ago. Yeah, but I would just have these old issues, and you could buy them for nothing. They were falling apart,
Oh God,
they're more enjoyable than reading about wife swappers on Venus or whatever the hell Heinlein would write about later on.
Yeah.
On Marketplace, they've got just people just throwing out books, literally free books. Come and take them. I look at some of the books. I thought, are you kidding me? But I want to give them away for free. It's up to them.
Yeah,
I'll take
I've gotten
them.
stacks of stuff from library sales. Just there's no interest in books, so I've been able to find a lot of rare editions and rare stuff. Just at a sale, I could get a 1950s Tarzan juvenile novelization of Tarzan and the Lost Safari, published by I think Edgar Rice Burroughs Incorporated. So they have Opar and all the stuff from the novels in there, and it was $1, and it was in good shape.
Yeah,
it's just
to them, it's just decluttering. I've been
Yeah.
given boxes of DVDs over the last couple of months. I've been away, and free CDs. I said, I mean, I do ask, why don't you want these? And they said, we just want them out of the house. One lady actually thanked me. She said, thank you so much for taking these. I look at the box, there's like all this stuff on CD. I thought, well, and the thing, I was talking to one of my sons. I said, you know what the problem is? People are now just so reliant on streaming. Oh, I want to listen to Pink Floyd. I'll just pull up Animals. Spotify and listen to Animals on Spotify. That's fine, but it only takes the artist to say, well, we don't want streaming no more. No more.
Not even that. I mean, it can just be like, oh, you know what? Like, we don't like what Roger Waters says about politics. Like, we're just gonna quietly
like Joni Mitchell, man.
They Breitbart him out of their home. So
yeah. Or like I want my stuff removed. I want my music removed from Spotify because you host Joe Rogan and he's a he's weird evil. Meathead. He's a right-wing neo-Nazi, even though he's just a meathead.
He's like a socialist meathead.
Yeah, he's a Bernie bro.
Yeah, he's total Bernie bro. Well, another thing is, I think there's this movement of having your home look like an IKEA catalog picture. And like it's no clutter, like you don't read books, you don't collect movies.
It's the Marie Kondo effect, John.
Yeah.
This does not
there's a
spark
bunch of
joy.
knockoff shows on Netflix that are reorganize your home, declutter your home, and that's a big thing now.
Having lots of books does not spark joy.
Yeah, apparently.
Condense them all to PDFs.
Yeah. Is that it for you, John?
Yeah, that's it for me.
Okay. So for me, something I got for Christmas that was pretty cool. My mother-in-law got me a stack of Ealing comedy Blu-rays.
Ooh.
Kind Hearts and Coronets.
I've seen it.
Great movie. And I have not seen these two. The Lavender Hill Mob.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, I've heard it's great. And another Alexander McKendrick joint, The Man in the White Suit.
That's a good movie.
Sir Alec Guinness. Yeah, I've not seen that one either, but Lavender Hill Mob must watch.
Okay, will do. My wife and I watched The Lady Killers, and like we watched it again very soon after because we were like, this movie's so funny. I've talked about it a lot because of Peter Sellers. And speaking of Peter Sellers, I got the Kino Lorber Blu-rays of the Pink Panther movies without Peter Sellers. Got Inspector Clouseau with Alan Arkin.
Was it $5?
Oh yeah, these were cheap. Curse of the Pink Panther.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Not good.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
The highlight is there's a 4-minute fight with Ed Parker in an alleyway that's pretty good. That's fun.
And then the worst.
Trail of the
Son
Pink
of the Pink
Panther.
Son of the Pink. No, I've got Trail in the Peter Sellers set.
Oh, okay.
But Son of the Pink Panther with Roberto Benigni.
Mm-hmm.
Although Herbert Lom was coming back to do this one too.
That's because it was Blake Edwards' follow-up.
It was and it was Blake's last. He didn't do Clouseau. He wasn't involved with this one, but he did these two. And speaking of Edwards, a movie I've never seen of his that I've always wanted to see is Experiment in Terror. So
good film. Really good movie.
Yeah.
Not seen it.
Because I remember hearing about Blake Edwards and people going, he's known for comedy, but he did some awesome movies outside of that genre. And people always cite this movie as one to check out.
It's excellent.
So last two, one for the Arrow Shelf, The Dunwich Horror with Dean Stockwell, written by Curtis Hanson.
Oh wow, losing it to Curtis Hanson. Nice.
Yep. And last but not least, Fortune Star's Dragons Forever, which has a nice little book and poster.
Got that one, John?
Yeah. Showed it to my kid about a couple of months back. I got the Region 2 version from a year ago, though, or 2 years ago.
Yeah, I can't believe Fortune Star put this out. It's a nice little set. Yeah. Oh, and I forgot one thing. Hold on. Real quick. I got...
Oh, yeah.
Oh, boy.
Volume 2, baby. Shaw Brothers, Volume 2.
And what's in that one? That piece of shit?
This one has... This one's got the 36th Chamber of Shaolin. Return to the 36th Chamber and Disciples of the 36th Chamber, which I'm not a big fan of either one of those. I like the first one, but the sequels are just, I don't know.
They're meh.
Yeah, I didn't like Return was like a comedy version. And Disciples, I don't even think Lau Kar-Long wanted to make it.
Disciples was about Feng Sei-yu, who Jet Li later played years later in a couple of movies.
We got Mad Monkey Kung Fu, good movie.
That's a great one.
Five Super Fighters, which I've never seen.
It's really good. It's really fun.
Invincible Shaolin. I don't think I've seen that one.
That's a terrific one. That's a good Venom's film.
A really good one. Kid with the Golden Arm. Love
Great
that
one.
movie. Magnificent Ruffians, which I've never seen.
Really good.
10 Tigers of Kwantung. I know I've seen that, but I can't think. I remember nothing about it.
They kick a guy's head off. It's messy, but it's fun.
My Young Auntie, classic.
Great movie.
And there's no commentary with Andy Klein and Elvis Mitchell.
Oh, good.
I'm sorry, John. I'm sorry. I know you were hoping that would
Got
carry
Rob
over.
Zombie instead.
Yeah, I got the set myself, but I haven't opened it yet. So
Mercenaries from Hong Kong, which I've never seen.
it's really good. Really cool film.
And the GOAT, the greatest of all time, the Boxer's Omen.
That might be the worst thing on there, even though I don't think it's that bad of a movie. But it's
I really like Boxer's Omen. Stu hated it.
Oh,
I made him watch it back in the early days.
early on the first ones we did.
Yeah, it was like episode 4 or something. It was
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
well, it's Hong
martial
Kong gross out horror, which I think is kind of that it could throw. I don't care for it myself, and there's only a few in the genre I like.
The Boxer's
But
Omen was the one film Millie made me say, "Fuck this podcasting luck. I can't be bothered. I'm not sitting for these shit movies again."
And yeah, let's see. Oh yeah, there's the dope poster, Boxer's Omen. Look at that, sick. And it's got Bolo Young in it too from Enter the Dragon.
Well, it's got the CD. Does it have the CD soundtracks for a couple?
Yeah,
of
it
films?
does.
Yeah,
Yeah, it does.
that to me. That's almost worth the $100 I paid for it. So
And we've
I just
got
haven't opened mine yet.
Martial Arts of Shaolin. Which one is that?
That's
I feel
a
like I've
Jet
seen
Li
that.
film directed by Liu Jialiang, Lau Kar-Long
Yeah.
in mainland China.
We-
It's great.
I think we did that on the show, John. I feel like we watched it and talked
I
about
don't think
it.
so.
You
Which
don't
one?
think so? Martial
We
Arts
did
of
8-diagram
Shaolin.
pole fighter. We've never done martial arts of Shaolin.
Okay, I've seen that one. I know I've seen that one.
It's a really good movie.
And then
You did
Barefooted Kid, which I've never
Shaolin
seen.
Woodman is one you did.
You know,
Did
I know we
Shaolin
did that.
Woodman? We did 8-diagram pole fighter, right?
No, we
No.
did Shaolin Woodman. I remember we did that one.
Maybe we did.
Yeah, and I think Shout's about to put that out on Blu-ray. There's a
Oh, they
Jackie
probably
Chan-
are. I've already got like an 88 films Blu-ray of that one, but yeah.
They're putting out a Jackie Chan set.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, that's all
The
for
same
me.
10 films that they've been out forever.
Yeah, it's all the same stuff.
Hmm.
Speaking of Jackie Chan, we're talking about one of his big influences this on this episode, and that is Buster Keaton with the movie Sherlock Jr., directed by Keaton, starring Keaton. And this is a film that I wanted to do because Stu was unfamiliar with Buster Keaton. And he's one of my favorites. I show his movie The General in my film class. It's always a huge hit. And I picked Sherlock Jr., or we did, because it's pretty short and it's also one of his most inventive movies. Like, there's a lot of action and craziness in it. It takes a minute to get going, but once it gets going, it's really good. But Stu, I know you're new to Keaton. John, I know you've seen a lot of Keaton, yeah?
Oh yeah.
What's your favorite?
I like Sherlock Jr., but I really like The General quite a bit. And
Yeah, it's hard to argue with The General because it's so physical. Like the train is exciting, the chase is exciting. It's really good. I see people arguing that Sherlock Jr. is better, but it's hard to argue with The General, I think.
And
But-
I like the one The Navigator, I think, because so many Looney Tunes have ripped it off.
oh yeah.
With like the ones with Yosemite Sam and the matches on the island and where
Yeah.
they're doing Robinson Crusoe and stuff. Like they've ripped it off so many times, and Bugs Bunny cartoons. It's like, yeah, you know.
Yeah, and there's that clip of Bogdanovich talking to Frank Capra, and he's like, "Well, they were kind of killed by cartoons."
They were. The cartoons could have more of the Buster Keaton influence than the movies with sound, which is the strangest thing.
Yeah, it's funny how that happens. Man, when I watch old Looney Tunes, they are so edgy. Like there's this Merry Melodies where the camera goes up to this frog and the frog's going and they go, and now we are showing you a close-up of a frog croaking, and then the frog just pulls out a gun and blows his brains.
I don't know how they got away with it. They had jokes and stuff. I don't know how they did it. Well, they weren't made for kids. They were made for adults. They played the Clark Gable movies.
Well, it's funny. I was watching a documentary on Ub Iwerks, the guy who created Mickey Mouse and did all he was like the technical brains behind Disney. And he left Disney for a while and did his own studio. And I saw clips. They had clips from the cartoons in there, and there's like nudity and like all this like really raunchy stuff. And they said that the audience for these things was businessmen on their lunch break. They would go grab lunch, go to the movies, watch the news, watch some cartoons, blah, blah, blah. It was for adult males.
Yep.
There's a thing where cartoons can get so misinterpreted what they are. I give an example. My son, a couple of sons and myself went to a secondhand store, and they had a whole bunch of movies in various sections, horror and action, and they had kids. And in the kids section, one of them was Meet the Feebles, and my son goes, "Oh no!" He goes, he took it up the counter. She goes, "Oh, you want this?" He goes, "Yeah, no, you wouldn't be putting this in the kids section. It's not kids."
We have the new Banana Splits movie in there.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah,
an abomination.
The new Winnie the Pooh film. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Blood and Honey or whatever.
Winnie the Bloodsucker, whatever the hell it's called. I don't know.
Oh, just such lazy crap. Oh, it's a beloved children's property. Let's do it as a horror movie.
Edgy horror.
Oh,
that
wow.
Banana Splits movie was.
But he kills Christopher Robin and wears him like a skin
I
suit.
watched that Banana Splits. I said, I can't believe what I'm seeing. I grew up on that show and loved the show, but my goodness, that film was just.
Whenever that garbage comes out, I always say, "Who's in it? Eric Roberts or Nicolas Cage? You can play a game. It's gonna be one or the other. Might just be a cameo, but it's gonna be one or the other."
But yeah, Keaton's stuff is just so influential on Looney Tunes. Even stuff that's like really lowbrow, like Jackass, like Johnny Knoxville in The Navigator. There's that gag where Keaton's got the little cannon attached to his leg, and he can't. Every time he moves, it aims towards him. And Knoxville did a gag where he had a little cannon rigged onto his leg, and he was walking around and making it go off and fire into like people's butts, on the set of Jackass. Like he would recreate these Keaton gags, like he did the Steamboat Bill Jr., the facade falling down, except he screwed it up and it landed on him.
Oh my goodness.
and they show it in the bloopers. So good. But anyway.
Stu, what age Johnny Knoxville? Was it the stunts or the failed liver? I'm not sure.
Dude, I think that guy's gonna have dementia like when he hits 60. He
already looks like crap. He looks
dude.
Does he?
Did you see the latest Jackass movie where he did? Because one of his favorite bits to do is get in a ring with a bull.
Yeah.
And in Jackass 2, they did the Toro Totter where they're doing the seesaw and the bulls like that bit is amazing. He does the bit where he recreates Tom and Jerry where he wears the blindfold and the cigarette and the bull hits him, but he did a bull bit in Jackass Forever, and it goes horribly wrong. It's in the movie, but you can tell everyone on the set thinks he's dead. Like he goes up in the air and he's totally limp, like just. And
I don't get it.
He
I see the appeal.
He said it took him like months to recover from that, and I was like, just from that alone, like that's got to shave like a decade off your life.
I went to a rodeo last summer, and it was the bull riding competition, and luckily, none of those guys were hit by those things, but they are nothing more than a gigantic cannonball of muscle and horn. And if they pop you ain't going nowhere for 9 months.
That's what I tell people about kangaroos. Everyone's thinking, oh, this cute little marsupial. They will kill you. They can kill you. Yeah, that's strong.
One of my favorite things.
I saw Matilda. Those things can box.
Yeah,
they can. They really can.
Woody Allen got in the ring with one. You ever see that bit?
No.
Look up Woody Allen kangaroo boxer on YouTube, and like this kangaroo gets in the ring, and Woody Allen's got the white beater on. He's like, the kangaroo is like,
yeah.
Is it a real one or is it like Matilda, like a guy in a suit?
No, it's a real kangaroo. Like it looks like it's scared and could mess him up.
That's the worst. When they're scared, they get into attack mode.
And Woody keeps going up and kind of fainting. And
lucky for Woody, he's probably more of a jock than Johnny Knoxville will ever be. So.
He probably is.
Is. No, seriously, he's apparently an amazing basketball player. So,
dude, well, he loves basketball. I remember reading people think Woody is like this guy who's gonna spend his evening watching Boonwell films, but he's like, no, my idea of a good evening is, cracking open a beer and watching the Knicks.
Fucking like my Korean stepdaughter.
I say, Soon Yi, can you bring me a Schlitz?
Or I'll deport you.
Now, if you watch Sleeper, he's throwing a basketball into the basket, and he's hitting every one. Like he's never misses.
Those early Woody Allen films, man, that was so funny. I need to revisit them to see if they still hold up, but from memory, oh man, they were good. For that run from Take the Money and Run all the way up to, I mean, I'd even say Annie Hall. I enjoy Annie Hall. It's not as uproariously funny as the others. Even Love and Death isn't as funny, but man, it's just still good films to watch. But anyway, another time.
Since I'm able to do this, maybe we can. I can't screen share. Never mind.
I'll fix that in a minute. Carry on.
But I was gonna say I'll bring up that Woody Allen kangaroo boxing match because it's pretty short. But let me know when you've got that fixed. But Knoxville. Did you ever see that movie where he plays a theme park owner, Action Point?
No, I never saw it.
He did this stunt where he goes on this. It was based on Action Park, the really dangerous theme park that Gen Xers love.
I saw the trailer eternally, but never went to see the movie.
And he did this thing where he goes off a slide and lands on his face. It's like a toboggan thing, and he goes over the edge and eats it.
Right.
And Knoxville said his eye fell out of its socket after doing that. And he said he had to have an eye patch on, and he said he sneezed and it popped out, and he had to
he should be the host of Creep Show, the TV show.
Yeah, he should. I mean, my goodness. Anyway, here's the
Woody story, kitty.
Yeah.
Here's Woody Allen boxing a kangaroo.
And if I beat the kangaroo, I get to bang Soon Yi for the rest of her life. If the Rue wins, well, he wins.
Yeah. Jeez. Oh man, I don't think I'd.
Oh, that's this. I mean, this looks like he could die at any moment.
Oh, that's a real one. Yeah, that thing will kill him.
One good right cross, and he is dead.
Look, that thing is ready to attack. I've seen that before. Oh, you idiots. Oh my God. Oh my goodness.
You got to cut this out for the audio only listeners, but this is a riot.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's actually scary looking when they're like that.
If you're listening at home, check this out on YouTube, on Midnight Movie Cowboys YouTube channel.
Guys, I'm telling you now, this is no exaggeration. That's a smaller Rue. That's not one of the bigger ones.
I believe you. I totally believe you.
Yeah, I believe you. I've seen some of those.
Damn.
Get out of there, Woody, if you want to live.
Kangaroo just kicked the crap out of the host.
And just kick him in the nuts as well.
Oh,
Wow.
man.
Get the fuck out of you, idiot. That thing will kill you. Oh
Oh,
my
Wow.
God.
Classic.
I see those things, but sometimes I just flee. I just hit the fucking pedal and drive out of there.
I'm not taking the lunch money. I'm not messing with them.
I'll eat them. They are nice and a burger and shit, but holy crap. I'm not trying to upset one. But
all right. Sorry about that. My computer was making noise. So Buster Keaton, you saw your first Buster Keaton movie, Stu. I am curious about your thoughts on Sherlock Jr.
okay. It was a long 45 minutes. Let's say that much.
Really?
Yeah, it was a long 45 minutes. I will break up into two parts, pros and cons. Pros, Keaton is a master at physical comedy.
Okay.
Cons, I didn't like it.
You didn't
I
like
was
it?
bored. I was actually texting Anthony. I go, man, I'm bored out of my skull with this thing. And I think one of the things was there was very few title cards. It was really hard to follow for me.
Okay.
There was a whole bunch of music, and there'll be an odd title card. Oh, someone's stolen the watch. Or this. But they were so intermittent that it was hard for me to follow. Not to say it was bad. I'm not going to turn around and say actively avoid this is terrible. Not at all. But it's a little hard for me to follow. That's all it was.
So one thing about this movie is that it is a little bit slow. I think the stuff at the beginning with him cleaning out he's working at the movie theater and he's cleaning out the trash, and people keep coming over going, oh, I misplaced money, and finding money. And, the guy tries to give the dude some money, and he picks up the wallet and pulls out this big wad of cash. Like, there's some really funny stuff in there, but there's a lot of setup. Okay. Because the plot is about Buster is a guy who wants to be a detective. He works at a movie theater. He likes this girl, but there's like a Chad dude who likes her too. And the Chad frames Buster for stealing her dad's watch. And really it was the Chad who did it.
Yeah.
And to pawn some stuff to get her a nice gift. And Buster is trying to figure out how to solve the case. He goes to work. He starts projecting a movie. He falls asleep, and he has a dream about being a master detective, Sherlock Jr. And that's where the movie really gets crazy. That's where the movie really gets interesting. Like, he comes out of his body. It's a very Georges Méliès segment. He goes up to the movie screen, and there's this masterful editing where he's, about to sit in a chair, and then he falls back, and we cut, and he's on a city street, and he falls into the street and jumps up, and he'll look over, and then he's on a cliff, and he's about to fall, and he'll go, ooh, it's just, it's really well done.
The physical comedy just had me jaw dropping going. I can't believe some of the things he was doing back in 1924.
This has some of his best physical work. In fact, there's the motorcycle chase in the movie. There's the part where this isn't the motorcycle chase. This is a different sequence. But there's a scene where Buster's on top of a train, and he grabs on to this water spigot, and it turns on and slams him onto the railroad. The train's left, and he the water pressure knocks him down. He broke his neck doing that stunt.
Oh,
and he didn't know it for a few years. He had headaches, and he went to the doctor. And was it 10 years?
10 years.
Supposedly, according to a YouTube video. So gotta.
He went to the doctor, and the doctor said, "When'd you break your neck?" And he said, "I didn't." It's like, yeah, you did. But when you watch the stunt, he hits the railroad track, and then he gets up and runs off.
It was all done.
It's funny because it's a
seamlessly.
subtle stunt. It's not. It's never the big stunts that do it. It's always the subtle stunts. Jackie Chan was injured by just jumping from tree to tree.
In Armor of God.
The hole in his head. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a really minor stunt. He was just jumping onto a tree, and he said the branch broke, and he just. I love it on Conan. He's like,
Fell hit a rock.
if the cameraman just move, and go like this, I'd be fine. But he didn't. He went.
Yeah. If only, Jackie, right? If only this. If only
If
that.
only.
Yeah.
And but yeah, it's always the smaller stunts, you know. It's not the big ones that make your jaw hit the floor.
But Keaton's stunts are very seamless.
They think they're gonna be simple. You know, they think they're gonna be simple, and they don't have to be overcautious prepping for them. I think that's what does them in. And then all it takes is that little slip, and you're falling. You know.
Yeah, absolutely. And Stu, you were saying his stunts are seamless.
Yeah, it seems like there's no quick cuts to patch together a stunt. It just seems to be one hit, one take, I should say, and just all seamless.
You just get like the camera setup. And one thing that's brilliant about Buster is he kind of, the way he worked was very much a product of the early days of movies. Because there wasn't this standardized way to do things. I mean, that had developed, but he was able to kind of work undisturbed. And his movies would cost way more than usual films, but they did well. So he was able to do that. But he would kind of improvise on the set. So, for instance, there's a movie called 3 Ages where he jumps from one rooftop and he was supposed to jump to the other rooftop, but he missed the jump. And he went, well, that could be funny. And he had added all this stuff where he like falls, grabs a pipe, the pipe breaks, he flies through a window, it's a fire station, he grabs the pole, slides down and lands on the fire truck, and the truck drives off. And
well, at least they perfected that stunt in Punisher Warzone, or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
that obnoxious parkour mob.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But you know, and there's this documentary, if you're a Buster Keaton fan, go to YouTube and type in Buster Keaton Rides Again. There's a documentary. He did a short film for the Canadian Railroad called The Railrodder. And it's done in the style of a silent movie. It's directed by Gerald Potterton, who went on to do Heavy Metal for Ivan Reitman.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Jeez.
But if you watch Buster Keaton Rides Again, there's a lot of footage of Buster on set with Potterton. And Buster, like, the way he comes up with gags, because this was a smaller project where he could work the way he used to work. And there's a scene where they go, part of Buster's contract was he needs to get a freshly shot duck prepared for him for dinner. And one of the crew members goes and bags a duck, brings it in to eat. And they bring the duck in, and Buster's like, oh boy. And he goes, and I think his wife goes, there's a gag here. And Buster's like, there is a gag here. And they come up with this sequence where Buster is on this train and he sets up a duck blind and he's going to hunt for ducks. And he sees ducks and he's aiming. And then the train goes into a tunnel and he fires, and there's all these workers in the tunnel and they flee out. But they just came up with it on the fly right there. And that's kind of how he would work on these old movies.
Yeah.
You know, he said he would come up with the beginning and the end, and the middle would work itself out. That's what he'd say. Okay.
What budget would these Buster Keaton shorts usually be at, as opposed to what the norm would have been back then?
Well, okay, let me see. This one, I see the box office. I don't see the budget. Let me look at the General, because the General, I think, is the movie that kind of did him in. The budget was $750,000, which was a lot of money back then.
What year is that one? The General?
1926.
Okay.
And in that movie, Buster staged the most expensive shot in the history of silent film, allegedly. When he runs a train over a burning bridge, the bridge collapses and the train falls. And they did it for real. Yeah. And
no CGI back then. That's for damn sure.
No, and that train sat there for a long time, and it was scrapped for metal during World War II.
Surprised Jackie Chan didn't try and recreate that.
Yeah, he's recreated several Buster gags. Like he's done the Steamboat Bill Jr. facade falling down, as everybody has.
Yeah.
Jackie did, like in Police Story, I don't remember Buster doing this, but this is a very silent movie, like getting an umbrella and hooking onto a car and scraping along.
Just about Jackie Chan, do you think that guy embellishes? He's had more accidents than he really has.
That's a question for John.
Yeah, I did. I think he has.
Yeah, okay.
In fact, there's a Hong Kong stuntman documentary that I thought maybe me and Hunter could possibly cover, since it's on the Amazon Hi-Ya service. I don't know if you got access to that, Stu, but that, I guess all the NDAs are gone in Hong Kong about disclosing Jackie Chan's doubles, because in that documentary they reveal Mars did a lot of stunt work that Jackie tries to claim credit for. It was actually his buddy Mars who's doing, because Mars looks enough like him from a distance where Jackie could actually go to talk to him. Like, oh, I did that.
Not Mick Mars.
Almost die. Like if you see the movie The Protector, it's Mars that jumps on the helicopter ladder off the speedboat that blows up and hits another boat.
So Jackie's probably trying to claim their injuries as well as his own.
Yeah, I'm sure he probably does. But yeah, Mars pretty much was Jackie's top double for a few years. And then this documentary shows Chin Kar Lok doing Jackie's kicks in Dragons Forever, which you can very clearly see on the Blu-ray and or 4K disc or whatever the hell you're watching it on. So the this idea that he did all his own stunts is just pure, it's publicity. That's all it is.
Of course. Makes him sound a lot better than what it really is.
And he does fake when you're watching the stunt outtakes, if he's laying on the ground and they're fanning him, it's fake. It's that thing where he lays on the ground, he acts like he's burning or he's hurt, and it's fake. And
so is the Drunken Master one fake, where he burned himself on the coals?
That may not be. I don't know. I haven't watched that movie in forever, but I do know that on the set of Eagle's Shadow, the late Roy Horan filmed a fight scene with him. He plays the Russian priest, killer, assassin. And he said after they filmed their fight scene, Jackie goes and acts like he's really hurt, and everybody gathers around him. And he didn't quite, Roy Horan didn't understand that. And then he realized, that became his gimmick that he worked on, to start filming him and everything. He's super injured, and he almost dies for every movie or whatever. It became his gimmick. And not that he didn't do a lot of dangerous shit, but it's a good percentage of it is fake, or he had a double, or whatever.
Well, and the one on Legend of Drunken Master, or Drunken Master 2, where he falls on the coals in the final fight scene, and they were he really hurt himself. I was going, why did you need real burning coals for that? That doesn't make any sense. You could fake that so easily. Why use real? They
may not have been. I know somebody visited the set of Drunken Master 2, and in that tea house scene, he said that the stairs were covered with a rubber foam padding, so the stuntmen could land on their backs on the steps and not be injured. They just bounce off, and those guys. But they did use padded protection. Jackie probably had a fireproof suit underneath his clothing if they used real coals. They do all the precautions, like that Hong Kong stuntman documentary. It showed all the takes of the Project A clock tower fall, and in which Mars did half of the falls. And you see an air mattress, when Jackie lands, it pops up in the ground. It's covered with dirt, but you see it pop up a little bit.
Yeah, because the little outtakes where he lands on his head, it's that should kill you.
Yeah, he landed on an air mattress. They're not that stupid,
Yeah.
But
it's part of the magic trick. It's part of the work, the pro wrestling magic trick.
Well, it's when you watch a Keaton film, a lot of stuff he's doing is really dangerous. That's
because they were just figuring that stuff out. They were figuring, Buster Keaton innovated stunt work because he was figuring it out as he went along.
And he grew up in vaudeville. His the bit was his dad. He was a little kid and he looked just like his dad. He had whiskers and stuff. And the joke was his dad would always get mad, pick him up and throw him, and the whole idea was Buster was a projectile. And there's even a story that there was a heckler and his dad picked Buster up and chucked him at the heckler. But they had a little handle on his back so he could pick him up and throw him. And, it was just, and a lot of people thought Buster was being abused because the act was so rough.
Early form of midget throwing, I guess.
It was. It was, but Buster was famous as a child star performer, and his dad's in a lot of his movies. He's in this one. I believe he plays the girl's dad. Yeah, he's the girl's dad. That's Joe Keaton as the dad who's like, "That's my watch. Get out of here," you know.
There's another father named Joe who was good at doing that. His name is Joe Jackson. He used to beat the shit out of his kids.
But you know what's a sequence in this movie that I think is amazing is when there's a bomb in the 8-ball and Buster's playing pool.
Oh, yes. Yes.
And those pool shots are unbelievable. So good. And I love in The Great Buster, the Peter Bogdanovich documentary on him. Dick Van Dyke's got the Buster's pool cue. I got his pool cue. Never let go of it. It says Buster Keaton. Fantastic.
Surprised Jackie doesn't own it.
That's the same doc where Richard Lewis says he's got Buster's hat.
He said that it's not Buster's hat. Eleanor Keaton, Buster's widow, would make the hats for Buster. Right. She would make like little hats.
So she made one for him.
She made one for him. It was not Buster's hat. It's one she made for him. Yeah. Richard Lewis. Gosh.
Who do you reckon out of the three? I don't know these guys at all, except one. Who would you say is physically the best with their comedic skills and timing? Is it Keaton, Chaplin, or Lloyd?
My favorite is Keaton. I like Lloyd. I think his movies are good. Chaplin has a certain talent. Chaplin's very good, but I like Chaplin when he's not kind of getting swept up in some social cause,
like the dictator or the great dictator,
or even like, or I mean, like, when I show the kid in my film class because it's pretty short, but when it takes a while before that movie gets funny, and when it starts, all the kids are like, this movie's really sad. Like, this movie's messed up. Like, this woman abandons her child and, the father doesn't care. And, they were like, this is really dark stuff. And, I put it in the context of, there was a lot of like concern over the welfare of this new, underclass and these new urban centers and all that. But Chaplin's very talented, but he just would get caught up in his political stuff, and I think that was harmful. But I don't think.
Well, he was shagging underage girls, right?
That too. Oh yeah, that too. But I think Buster was the most talented out of all of them. His movies are just so physical and exciting and inventive, and like. You watch a movie like The General, and there's nothing like that today. Like with him running around on that train and getting his foot caught on the cannon on the train track, and it's just so exciting to watch. And Sherlock Jr. is exciting to watch with that motorcycle chase where he's sitting on the front of the motorcycle, and I love it. Like the motorcycle goes through all these random things. Like there's this Irish stag party. It's like Michael O'Murphy's stag party. And like, they're playing tug of war, and he goes through and drags them. And the Irishmen are all getting dragged. And then the couple that are still holding on start fighting when they finally get let go. Yeah. And the stuff with like, he had an engineer's mind. Where he'd come up with these gags where, okay, I'm going to go across this bridge and there's going to be a gap here and the bridge is going to fall and it's going to meet this other bridge and I'm going to go across, just coming up with stuff like that. Brilliant. He would come up with these Rube Goldberg machines for comedy.
Could you imagine him being directed by Tarantino if those two were...
No, I don't think Buster would have patience with him. I think Buster would do the work. I mean, he was a professional, even if he went and he did that movie with Sam Beckett later in his life, which was art house nonsense. But Buster just did it, and he was just like, "What's it about? I don't know."
Speaking of
He did
art house
Beach
nonsense,
Blanket Bingo.
did he?
Yes, he was in Beach Blanket Bingo
wow.
and How to
That's
Stuff
how
a
I was
Wild
introduced to
Bikini.
him when I was a kid.
That was
Speaking
the
of,
first movie I watched on TCM after my daughter was born. Beach Blanket Bingo was on TCM in the hospital room.
get
So
your
we
hands on a
watched that.
Peter Sellers film. No, you're on a bit of a Peter Sellers kick called "I Love You, Alice B. Toklas."
Yeah, I've heard of that one. I
Yeah,
wanna see it.
it's it's odd, but it's okay.
But John, what about you with Cheaton, Chaplin and Lloyd?
Buster Keaton high above the other two. I'm not a big Harold Lloyd fan. Every Harold Lloyd film I've seen, that doesn't do anything for me. And I think it's because he plays this optimistic, go get 'em kid that I just don't think that person exists anywhere in the real world. And Keaton is great at playing. He plays a little tough guy, and that's what's real likable about him. Like he's not a coward. And
that's what Tarantino said about him.
yeah, and I agree with Tarantino on that. He's not a chicken shit. It's like you think of these guys who might be inspired by Keaton, like Woody Allen or even Jackie Chan when he went through his phase of running away from villains and throwing furniture at them and stuff. But that's not the way Keaton is in his old movies. He's kind of faces up to the problem and takes on the bad guys.
Yeah, Tarantino was like, I don't understand why comedians always have to be lesser than,
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, he's right.
He goes, Bob Hope is scared of Jesse James,
Yeah. Well, that's because Bob Hope's specialty was a coward's coward, which is perfect when comedy has dialogue and verbal. And Hope's thing was he used to be called he had a name like Rapid Fire Bob or Rapid Fire Robert. That's what it was, because he could just scale off the wisecracks like left and right, improvise and everything. And that played to his strength as a comedian. But with Keaton, it was just like there was no reason to do that sort of thing because you're not hearing him. So he can't make wisecracks. So he's got to do everything physically anyway.
And I think I like Lloyd a little more than you, but I agree with what you said. One thing, like, okay, Safety Last. You've seen that one where it hangs off the clock.
I've seen, I think I've seen that one. I've seen like 2-3 of them, maybe.
I've seen Safety Last, The Freshman, Speedy, which is the one I like the most, and The Kid Brother, the Western he did. And, like you said, he always plays this kind of bright-eyed guy. But I just remember Safety Last, kind of watching it, and there's a lot of stuff that kind of panders to poor people in a way that's a little annoying. Does that make sense? He sees
No, I totally know what you mean.
He goes to work and he sees the lunch in the window and he's got like 5 cents and he's trying to figure out how to make it work. And I just, I remember watching that and going like, it just kind of feels like we're playing to the poors here. The slobs in the audience a little bit. And I remember I didn't like that when I watched that movie.
It's like a movie made by Democrats or something.
Yeah, like it just felt very and Chaplin would do that, but I actually think Chaplin probably thought he cared, there was, and I think he was really caught up in progressive politics. Not that was good in terms of like all the socialism and loving the Soviet Union, but with Lloyd it felt like with Chaplin I think he believes all that stuff. I don't think Lloyd believed it. I think he was like pandering to an audience. It felt more cynical.
I think Chaplin could have made a hilarious movie in Stalin's Workers' Paradise.
Yeah.
People
I
starving
actually
out,
no joke, I have a movie, what's it called? I have a movie that's a Soviet silent film. It's directed by Lev Kuleshov, the guy who came up with the Kuleshov theory of editing. Like you see a man, you see food. Oh, the man is hungry. You see the man, you see a woman. Oh, he's in lust. You see a man, you see a dead child. Oh, he's so sad. But he did a movie that was styled like a Harold Lloyd Chaplin movie about this guy from the US, and he's got the glasses like Lloyd, and he comes to the USSR and he's waving American flags. And he learns the glories of the Soviet Revolution, but it's styled like a Harold Lloyd Chaplin comedy
starring Steven Seagal.
I gotta find out what that movie is. I'll look that up because it's one of the It's called, you'll love this title, John. Are you ready? The Extraordinary Adventures of Mr. West in the Land of the Bolsheviks. The extraordinary, the extraordinary adventure, extraordinary
Adventures of Mr.
adventures.
Oswald.
And it's
of
technically Soviet cinema, right? It was.
Oh yeah, this is Soviet. This is Soviet cinema. But yeah, it was the Soviets doing a silent American style comedy as a Soviet propaganda film. Yeah, it's oh, okay. Here.
By the way, I do not disregard Soviet cinema. I think their War and Peace is the best version I've seen. It's fantastic.
No, 100%. I am a fan of Soviet cinema. There's a reason. And you know who else wrote extensively about it is our pal Joe Carducci in his book The Stone Mail. He talks a lot about it. So here's a little, I'll just show you a little bit. This is Mr. West in the Land of the Bolsheviks.
Mute that audio.
This is Mr. West right here in his fur coat. He's a degenerate capitalist because he's wearing a fur coat. He left his little bag on the car there.
Hey, John Hunter's really enjoying this share screen option, isn't he?
Yeah.
It's like, I'm finally doing it now.
He has a new power.
Yeah, I have a new power. Yeah, Mr. West up, but see, he's got the little glasses.
So Woody Allen.
Well, he's like, yeah, like Harold Lloyd,
All right.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Oh, and look, he's got to have the really expressive face.
Yeah.
Anyway. But yep.
So Harold Lloyd was popular with the Soviets, I guess, right?
Where do I actually got from Flickr Alley. They had a early Soviet film box set on DVD, and I picked that up. So that's where I found it.
They show him like giving bread to everybody, and everybody's fed and happy.
Yeah.
They're celebrating after 10 hours or 12 hours of work, and they actually worked like 18 hours or something.
The Soviets just want three things: peace, land, and bread.
They're making tractors. They're just manufacturing tractors. Nobody needs
carb loading Bolsheviks.
Carb all right. Yeah. But and I love with Sherlock Jr. One of the moments I love is when Buster arrives at the bad guy's place and he's like jumping through the windows and changing disguises all in one shot.
Yeah.
And his like Watson character who always pops up at random points. And like, he's like, there's that bit where he's got like this box and he's selling stuff and he gets up against the wall and tells Buster to jump through him. And he jumps through the wall. I remember the first time I watched it, I went, how did they do that? And it's not hard to figure it out once you kind of stop it and look at it, but there are moments in that film where I was like, whoa, what did they do?
He went for some like Millet type of French silent illusion.
Oh yeah.
That stuff is always fascinating to watch. It's not very long either. And you can watch a Millet short is like 8 minutes long, and you just see a lot of stuff that's really amazing. Even if all it is just frame cuts, but they do a great job. Like, it's still stunning to see today.
Yeah, the Méliès stuff, like Flickr Alley, that company that put out the Soviet box set I was talking about, they've done some amazing Méliès sets. Like, I have their Méliès in color Blu-ray.
Yeah,
astoundingly detailed, beautiful reproductions of these movies. Like, they have Méliès' Joan of Arc film. Incredible. And a lot of them include narration you would have heard in the theater.
Okay.
So like Trip to the Moon, there's that long sequence at the beginning where all these people who look like Mickey Mouse and the Sorcerer's Apprentice are in a room talking to each other, and they start throwing things, and it doesn't really make any sense. You just kind of sit there a while and go, okay, I guess they decided to go to the moon. Well, you can watch it with narration, and they talk about this character disagrees with this character, and and then okay, after this, it
which is what they had in those theaters, right?
Yes, exactly. And so when I show that in my film class to go, you wouldn't have just been watching this with a soundtrack. You might have had a guy walking you through the story whose job was to narrate it. And that Blu-ray includes that.
Do they have watermarks in the corners like Detlef's Frankenstein?
Yes, Edwin Detlef put his watermark in the corner and said, this is I found this. I have the brains.
Yeah. That guy was real fun at parties and neighborhood get-togethers, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, he was fighting
Modern
off
day,
the lady.
early Victor Miller, he was.
Dude, but yeah, that Frankenstein though, I love that. It's only worth watching for the monster creation scene.
That's it. The rest of it's boring.
Yeah, the rest of it's boring, and in fact, the monster is kind of like a weird magical creature in it. Like he's going through mirrors and stuff. It's very weird. But
it's like he creates a monster with like formulas and potions and stuff.
Yeah, well, that's what I liked about it. It was interesting to see a Frankenstein that wasn't kind of just doing the James Whale thing again, or the Metropolis thing again. He does some potions and the monster grows out of a cauldron, and it's just clear they just melted the monster into a cauldron and reverse filmed it. But it was still cool to watch. Like, I thought that was neat.
Yeah.
To watch somebody dreaming that up without, I'm going to do it like the girl in Metropolis, or, I'm going to do it like I'm going to do it like Boris Karloff and Colin Clive.
Yeah. Still not as good as The Invisible Man. That's the greatest.
The Invisible Man's awesome.
The greatest Universal.
And you know what? I've never seen any of the sequels or spinoffs, and I was like, I need to fix that.
They're good.
Watch all of those.
They're good. They range from good to okay, but they're definitely worth your time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, any other thoughts or observations on Sherlock Jr., John?
I would say that you'll notice in this movie he never does the deerstalker hat and pipe, because that was not the common culture image of Sherlock Holmes at the time.
I wasn't a trademark.
Oh yeah,
people just read the stories and he was a detective, and that was it. Nobody thought deerstalker hat and pipe. That was because of the popularity, I think, of the stage play and later the Rathbone movies and posters for that sort of thing.
Isn't it interesting how so much of the stuff from movies came from play versions, like Frankenstein?
Dracula.
A lot of the stuff from the movie Frankenstein and Dracula came from theater versions. In fact, I read recently that Mary Shelley didn't realize how popular Frankenstein was until she saw it as a play. She was like, oh, I guess I've arrived.
Yeah, Sherlock Holmes, the stage play kind of created that actor, whoever, made the role big. He made the whole thing famous with the deerstalker hat and the pipe, and that became the cultural image of Sherlock Holmes. You see deerstalker hat and pipe, you think Sherlock. But when Buster made this, Sherlock Holmes is just a guy in a suit who put on disguises, and like in the Doyle stories, it wasn't really, it wasn't those cliches were not established at the time.
Didn't they do that in the Robert Downey Jr. films as well? They made him more similar to the Doyle books, where he's always in disguise.
Yeah, I mean, because if you read the Doyle books or the stories and everything, I think maybe he wears a deerstalker hat once, twice, maybe.
Okay.
And I mean, he smokes a pipe when Watson comes to get him, or a client comes in, or something, but he doesn't, or he's thinking about a problem, but it's not like he's always got it in his mouth like James Bond and a cigarette. It's never like that. It's just his guy puts on his suit. A lot of times the common image was like a top hat and like whatever like a tuxedo type of thing they'd have in England at the time.
Here's a question that you mentioned, James Bond. Which James Bond, in the opinion of you two, is the closest and most faithful to Bond's description by Fleming?
Dalton.
Okay, but which film?
Yeah.
Dalton as Bond?
Probably License to Kill.
License to Kill, not Living Daylights.
Maybe License to Kill, and maybe parts of the Living Daylights. Some of Roger Moore's early work is very close to the Fleming persona. Like he drinks whiskey, bourbon, which is what he does in the books. He doesn't, like in the early movies, Moore's 007 doesn't drink a martini. He drinks whiskey like he does in the novels.
Okay.
He doesn't drink martinis in the novels. He drinks bourbon. He loves bourbon.
That was a Connery thing.
And Moore had him smoking a cigar to kind of differentiate him from Connery and Lazenby. So he wanted to put his own stamp on the character. Later on, Moore starts drinking the martinis because he was getting paid $10 million or however much for it.
It was expected, you know.
Yeah. It was kind of that thing. But I would say Fleming describes Bond as looking like Hoagie Carmichael. And if you look at all those actors, Timothy Dalton looks like Hoagie Carmichael. You know, they're the most like Hoagie Carmichael. If you look at like the nose and everything and the eyes, he really does look more like the Fleming Bond. And he behaves that way. He's kind of cranky. It's not really funny.
No.
Like, especially in the early novels. Later on, when the first couple of Connery movies did real well, Fleming started basing the character in the books more on Connery's interpretation.
Yeah.
Because there's some really bad one-liners. Fleming didn't have a great sense of humor for wisecracks. And so some really bad, like 007 jokes or one-liners because Connery was doing them in the movies and Fleming was doing his own version of it. It just doesn't really work.
Well, you know who I think is the most faithful?
Lazenby, right?
Woody Allen.
Pierce Brosnan. No, just kidding. Peter Sellers.
Oh boy.
David Niven.
That Casino Royale movie is
terrible.
It's garbage.
Terrible.
But one thing I thought was really funny was David Niven's Bond is so distressed that Bond has to be a sex fiend. He's like, my goodness, why is he a sex maniac? He's just like, he's actually this really conservative British guy. You know?
And the funny thing is, David Niven was one of Fleming's choices in the 50s when they were trying to get a Bond movie going. It's like he thought David Niven would have made.
Well, there was a Casino Royale TV play broadcast in 58 or 59
with
60,
with
maybe?
Peter Lorre as Le Chiffre.
Yeah,
and there was an American was playing him, and he was Card Sense Jimmy Bond of the CIA.
Jimmy Bond.
That's it, Jimmy Bond. Yes. Yeah. One thing I never understood about the Casino Royale was David Niven stutters, and then it just goes. It disappears throughout the whole film. Just
that movie is like, if you look up troubled production in the dictionary, you'll find that movie.
Poster of that movie, yeah. It was just ridiculous.
And Peter Sellers was doing the thing crazy comedians do, where I'm going to play this straight. I don't want to be funny for this movie. I really want to be James Bond. You know.
Well, he had a problem with Orson Welles on the set.
Yeah. So he wouldn't be in. Anytime Sellers didn't like you, he would not appear in frame with you.
Yeah.
He was
fired. He was fired. You can tell in the editing of the film that he was fired, and they were working around that in the second half of the movie.
Yeah, and they had to kind of restructure it because he was going to be the star, and then they got rid. I heard one of the producers thought he was, because Woody Allen kind of looks a bit like Peter Sellers with the glasses and stuff. And I heard one of the producers went up to Peter Sellers thinking he was Woody Allen and was talking crap about Peter Sellers. Peter Sellers went, bye-bye. Just left.
Yeah. I heard the episode you boys did on the Pink Panther ones, on the first two. And I was listening, I said, I've seen quite a lot of Peter Sellers, not all. But the greatest piece of genius he ever did was the Goon Show stuff. I mean, it'll never be topped. The true comic genius of Peter Sellers was in the Goon Show.
I was listening to some bits, like this one bit where he takes a tour through the accents of the United Kingdom. And there was traveling through. Funny.
But there was one film he didn't mention on there. I'm pretty sure he did. It was one called Mouse on the Moon. Oh no, sorry, The Mouse that Roared.
I actually watched that after we did it.
Yeah.
Or I think so. Yeah. And I was actually, maybe I didn't mention this on the show, but I was in a play version of it when I was in 8th grade.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And that's one of those movies. That's one of those movies that should be funnier than it is. The premise is hysterical.
Oh, yeah.
Get into a war with the U.S. so
you can get
they pour money on
money. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
They rebuild your country.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
And there was another one, I think it had Peter Sellers in it, called, help me out, John, is it Soft Beds, Hard Battles? Is that Sellers?
It might have a different title in America.
It's definitely called Soft Beds, Hard Battles. where he plays
Because I just
A-
watched one called "I'm All Right, Jack," where he's a union steward.
Yeah, I think he's got a Blu-ray
Yeah,
release.
soft beds, hard battles has Peter Sellers in it.
Yeah.
I'm looking.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
I
it
saw it
looks
on
like
TV.
it's British.
Yeah, I saw it on TV. God, back in 80, 81 when I was a kid. It was one of his lesser ones. No one talks about that
He
film.
plays many characters, including Hitler in this.
I was going to say he plays AH in it. Yeah.
I think that's one of those famous buried productions that like he made it for money and everything, but barely got released because the distributor's like, we can't sell this thing.
Mhm.
He did a lot of stuff like that in the early 70s. He would do movies like Where Does It Hurt, which was basically just like a cheap comedy, just made to make a quick buck, like just for him to make, I guess, some alimony money or whatever.
I like What's New Pussycat as well. I enjoy that one.
Which
That's
was
a
Woody
fun
Allen's.
one.
Was Woody Allen's first script.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yep.
Well, it was, I don't know if that was or if it was What's Up Tiger Lily, if that was the first one he did.
I think What's New was before that. What's
Okay.
New was his first directing job, which
Yeah,
is,
yeah.
But so Stu, did you look into Keaton at all? Did you look into his career?
No, I'm not gonna
Yeah.
lie. I'm not gonna say, well, yeah.
You didn't watch The Great Buster or anything like
no,
that?
I just well, the Christmas and New Year break has just been
Yeah,
batshit
totally
nuts for me. So,
To-
no, I didn't. Will I? I don't know. I don't know. Maybe.
John, have you looked deeper into his movies? Have you just seen the classics? Like,
I've seen basically the main ones. I'm going to look deeper into his films because I gave 1 year for Christmas. I gave my wife a bunch of Buster Keaton on Blu-ray because she was a big fan. And there was something that when I met with Joe Carducci about a month ago, or actually a few months ago in Laramie, he was telling me that as much as he loves silent films and he's written a lot about them, he goes, they're very hard to watch on home video. He says you really have to go to a silent movie film festival in a theater because he says when you're watching them in a theater, your attention is there, it's focused on it. But at home, it's so easy to get distracted. I mean, it's easy enough to get distracted from just a regular movie, if you got stuff going on. But silent movies, forget it.
That's like watching the first two Marx Brothers films. I think they're both silents, and I mean they stick out as they're not very good.
I gotta say, Buster's.
Hang on, is the Coconut silent? The Marx Brothers? No. Okay,
no, it's good
somebody
sound,
else.
just not very good sound.
Yeah, it's just
it's not very
early
good.
talkie, so it sounds like crap.
Right.
The
But
Three Stooges innovated talkies, like with the sound effects and stuff. They were actually the innovators of sound effects.
Oh my god, the greatest. There's the goats right there. The Three Stooges.
Yeah, but Buster, like with his movies, I find them very watchable. Like it's easier for me to pay attention to those. But that's a good point. Whenever I've really been into a silent movie, I remember I saw Fritz Lang's Destiny in a theater. I could never watch that movie at home, but in the theater, I was wrapped up in it. I thought it was great, but I could never watch it at home.
Well, I'll give you a home video horror story of trying to watch a silent film I always wanted to watch. Off Turner Classic Movies, I taped Mysterious Island and 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. I always wanted to see those. I was never able to get through them.
Yeah,
because they're very long. They're amazingly filmed and everything, but they're very difficult to watch at home on maybe I'll try them again. I'll pick up the Blu-rays or DVDs one day and try them again on the big screen, but they were really tough to watch on TV. I
watched the Wizard of Oz, not the 39 one, the one before that. I mean, I'm dead sure there was a silent version of that, and it was just.
There's a bunch of them. There's like Patchwork Girl of Oz. They did a bunch of the Baum novels as silent films.
Yeah,
there's some home video editions with Jacqueline Lavelle, the real pretty woman from the Charles Band cheap smut movies from the 90s. She does the narration. She had a good voice. She was actually a decent actress. She does the narration, so maybe it makes them easier. I know they're out there. I think you can find them on YouTube and stuff, but I do want to check those out because I'm reading the Oz novels, and which are very different from the movie versions we've seen, and not as childish and silly as you would think. So I want to watch those to see if they're more faithful or they're interesting to watch with narration. We'll see.
What about the Wiz?
Wiz. Yeah, I saw that as a kid. I never was crazy about that.
But I think when I watch Fritz Lang movies or something, it's really tough to watch those at home. But Buster, I never have a problem watching him at home. Lloyd is more difficult, stuff like that. But Keaton, he had those classic movies, but what kind of killed his career, Stu? No, it didn't kill it. He did very well for a while, but he signed his rights over to MGM, and he started working at MGM. And the dip in quality in his movies is drastic. The first movie he did for them, The Cameraman, is pretty good. I like that one. All the ones after that, all of the talkies are garbage. Like they're really
once they
bad.
got his rights, they said they'll give him a good one, lull him into a false sense of security, and hit him with all the crap after that.
Yeah, and he like started drinking too much, and and eventually, he kind of just became a gag man. Like he would write jokes for the Marx Brothers on their movies, and like he worked on Night at the Opera and stuff like that. Like a lot of Night at the Opera gags are reworked from Buster Keaton movies. There's a movie called Free and Easy that a lot of the Night at the Opera gags are recycled from.
And of course, that clock one with Harold Lloyd, what's it called?
Safety Last.
Safety Last, obviously parodied in Back to the Future.
And more breathtakingly done in Project A.
Project A does an amazing
Project A.
Safety Last, but Keaton became kind of a gag man, and he would do movies and stuff like that, but he never really got back to that level where he was. But
like John Carpenter, man, after the Thing, it just wasn't the same anymore.
No, it was Memoirs of an Invisible Man, encountering Chevy Chase. That was it for old Jim.
That did it, man.
Yeah. But all the Keaton stuff from his shorts up through Steamboat Bill and The Cameraman, those are all gold. Like I think they're all fantastic. After that, it's kind of for fans only, I think. He did appear in Sunset Boulevard, though.
Okay.
Yeah, he played an old silent movie star playing poker with Gloria Swanson.
What do we think of Mel Brooks' silent movie?
I never saw it. I haven't seen it.
I haven't seen it.
Mm-mm.
I've seen parts of it. Never seen the whole film.
It's fun. I enjoyed it. Might be one we can look at covering later down the track, amongst all the other 10,000 ones. We got to do that. We got to do this one.
Yeah. We got a laundry list as long as the members of Deep Purple all lined up. Got a whole list of movies we need to do.
Yeah. Deep Purple Mark 48.
Yeah.
Right. Well, is there any other Buster Keaton observations we want to do before we sign out?
How old was he when he made this?
Oh gosh. He had to be like around 30, I think. Let's see. Buster, this was 1926. Buster was Oh wait, that's the wrong movie.
This is 24.
Sherlock Jr. Yeah, this one was 24. So Buster was born in 1895.
So nearly 30.
Yeah, he was about 30.
Yeah. And died at what age?
70 in 1966.
Okay.
Yeah. He like in those last few things he's in, like the Railrodder and the Beckett film.
Mm-hmm.
He looks pretty rough,
grizzled. Yeah,
smoked his whole life. Just
Gary Busey level of grizzled. Just
no, he didn't have brain damage. He was still sharp. But he just, you could just tell he smoked and drank too much.
Especially on the Railrodder, he was insisting on doing his own stunts and gags. He was insulted that they brought in a stuntman.
Yeah, in fact, there was a stunt where Buster was supposed to go on the train. It's like one of those little single train seat things. He goes across a bridge and he gets a map out, and the map gets caught in the wind and blocks his face, and he's flying along And the director was like, we're not doing that. It's too dangerous. And Buster's like, what do you mean it's too dangerous? He's like, I've been doing this for how long? Like 69 years. I think I know what I'm doing,
Yeah.
And he's like, it's child's play. Like he's really angry that they won't do it. And they do this alternate version where he's doing his laundry, like he's hanging up clothes to dry on the train, the little single car thing. And they do it, and Buster's like, it's not funny. It's not a gag. He goes, it's only funny if you think someone's going to get hurt.
There's probably something correct in his philosophy, actually.
And they end up doing it his way, and he's like, see, it's funny. Like he's just like, it was so fun. He's so like, it just indignant that they won't let him do it because they're worried about it being too dangerous. He's like, I've been doing this my whole life, and it's funny. And the war version you have, there's no joke there. He's like, no, that's not your gag. He's like smoking a cigarette with the little
the extended thing one,
yeah.
So how long till we get Rob Zombie's bio on Buster Keaton?
Oh, it'll be a
Never.
few years. He'll be played by
Richard Brake.
he'll be played by what's it, Bill Forsyth.
Or Jeff Kendall Phillips.
But yeah, any other observations, Stu? Any takeaways, John?
No. Was impressed with the physical comedy. I thought this is pretty groundbreaking for something nearly 100 years old.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
It's only 45 minutes, folks at home, so go watch it if you can. It's if you have the patience for a silent movie. And once things get going in it, it's pretty exciting.
It's a bit of a slow start.
Yeah.
Not much.
Yeah, it is. I show the general instead of this one because I noticed that with high school kids, their patience is tried by the first act.
You need to show your students the Woody Allen kangaroo boxing video. For no real reason, that it's just entertaining to watch.
Yeah, seriously. Well, are there any plugs you have, John?
Are we going to rate this thing?
Oh yeah, let's rate it. Stu, you go first.
All right, I'm going to give it a 5. That's not to say it's bad, but because it's just the lack of title cards bothered me a little. To give it something like 2 would be just ridiculous because it is a pretty incredible achievement in physical comedy. So probably a 5. Worth your time, I'd say yes, for sure. And, I would need to see it again. I will asterisk it as not to be never seen again. I will definitely watch it again.
John, what about you?
I give it an 8. I will note it kind of gives you a preview of the car turning into a boat, which Spike Love Me did. So I don't know if that was a tribute to the great Buster, but maybe it was. Now that I think about it. But it's a fun watch. It's only like 45-50 minutes even on YouTube. You can find a good print.
The HD one,
it's like Blu-ray quality.
Yeah, don't let the first few minutes. I mean, Stu's correct. It takes a little build up to get to the good stuff, but it's totally worth it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Worth
When Buster falls asleep, the movie takes off like a rocket.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a better, it's better than what you can see in theaters these days. Let's just put it that way.
Absolutely. I give it an 8
with a light pen drew everything you're seeing, and somewhere in India or Thailand.
I give it an 8 as well. I think it's not my favorite Keaton, but it's up there. It's very exciting, innovative, interesting, but my favorite's going to be The General. I just think that one's a tremendous achievement. I think it's his greatest work.
But Sherlock Jr. is a good starting point.
I think this is a good intro to Keaton.
Yeah.
And the shorts are great. Like if you ever want to watch some of the shorts, like Cops 1 Week, which has the house gag where he's got the house that he screws up, and it was remade as The Money Pit with Tom Hanks.
Was it? Okay. I didn't know that.
Yep.
What's new,
anyway,
Pussycat?
What's new, Pussycat?
Yeah.
Whoa. All right. So if you want, visit us at midnightmoviecowboys.com if you want to support the show. Hit the Ko-Fi donation link. That helps cover the costs of the show. We appreciate giving you this entertainment, but it just helps us out. Yeah. Anything to add, Stu, that I forgot?
No. Just nice to be back. I'll be making a pledge to be on more often this year instead of the sporadic. The end of last year was not good for me, so I just couldn't do it. But and was last year or the year before when I had 6 months off from the garage. Anyway, I've been taking way too many breaks and long breaks, so I won't be doing that. I'll be missing here and there, the odd one, but not as much as I used to. So if my appearance down here enjoys or it makes it more enjoyable for you, if it doesn't, tough shit. Fuck off. I don't care.
All right. Well,
actually, I do have my channel that I've just rebooted. I'm just going to put the odd thing on there, the odd oddity, because I did manage to get a VHS to digital gizmo that you plug in and you can transfer your tapes, and my laser disc, which I'm just selling off. I just sold a whole bunch to a guy the other day, and I got crates and crates of tapes of oddities and stuff. So if I find the odd thing, I'll pop it on there, and some lost TV shows. But yeah, and that's about it for me.
All right.
Oh, and stick around for the Nes. He's back for this year, so he just sent me his piece. I don't know what's on there. It's Anthony. It could be anything, especially with Prince Harry's book just being released.
Oh gosh,
which he's just read. He told me.
Embarrassing.
Yeah.
Think about it. He read Coffee with Hitler and Prince Harry's book in the same month. So.
Oh yeah.
I'm sure Prince Harry's book. I'm sure that's a quick read.
Anthony said, "You've got a question. He's the only ginger in the whole family." It's like, well,
oh yeah, I think he
Major James, whatever that guy's name was. I forgot it.
I think a quick paternity test would show he's not actually.
Oh yeah, well, yeah.
Anyway, well, with that, stay tuned for that, and you can hear all about the embarrassment that is Prince Harry, and allegedly, I don't know if that's what he's going to talk about, but anyway, with that, I'm going to go ahead and say adios.
Yeah, peace out.
And now, it's time for RUE Britannia with your foreign correspondent, the Nes.
In a move that will surprise nobody other than those who still believe it was the man from Miltray who put classified documents into the boot of Joe Biden's car, Harry Markle's farewell letter to the royal family, Spare, was published last week. Reviews were hostile to say the least. Not so much Spare, but Spare Me. Unsurprisingly, it was 410 pages of his best traits: the hypocrisy, the carping, the whinging, the complaining, the whining, the narcissism, the lies for money, the inconsistencies, the dishonesty, the rage, the self-pity. In the course of 2 months alone, Amazon's recommended retail price for the book has dropped from £28.99 to £13.99. Best review I've read so far. An invitation to the King's coronation in May will simply now not be forthcoming. Meanwhile, over at the parliamentary estate, Tory MP Andrew Bridgen ended up shitting pickles this week after having the party whip withdrawn. This after he effectively described the government's handling of the 2-year COVID pandemic window as quote-unquote a holocaust. Nothing wrong with that, and just to be clear, 87,000 English people died in 2 years since they couldn't get in the hospital, couldn't get medication, couldn't get medical treatment. Bridgen was effectively correct. It was a holocaust. And in today's Conservative Party, it pays not to ask too many questions. Actually, given the party's drift towards woke CRGT, it pays for Tory MPs not to be Conservative at all. A general election wipe is effectively now 18 months away. Meanwhile, in Scotland, the semi-independent Scottish Government formally ratified into law the Scottish National Party's transgender bill. much to the disgust of the feminist lobby. The bill, which gives equal legal footing to women and transgenders, prompted sufficient opposition in Parliament that protesters formally took off their clothes in disgust at its passing. Girls, girls. Opposition was and is so effectively unanimous on both sides of the board that the Tory government in London has stated it will now stop the legislation from being passed in Scotland, which puts the Tories in opposition with itself, given its woke-GT high-mindedness. Nothing like woke-GT to hold out the hand of friendship and bring people together. Hi, my name is Caiaphas, pleased to meet you. Further notes in passing, a Muslim immigrant was arrested last week at Heathrow Airport in possession of a consignment of enriched uranium. Well, Muslims do like to glow in the dark, rather them than me. French Premier League footballer Benjamin Mendy, having been cleared of 4 charges of sexual assault, has now been sent for retrial in June, given that the jury in his original trial last week couldn't actually reach a verdict on 2 counts. Clearly a Premier shit. And by the way, did I mention the fact that he's black? And finally, Mayor of London Sadist Khan demanded that the City of London adopt its own immigration policy this week. Good idea. As someone who's never been there, nothing would give me greater pleasure than to actually see the City of London barricaded in, quarantined in, and frankly walled in forever. West Berlin style. That's living, alright. Pax.